Hey, remember when I was trying to decide whether to finally spruce up the sound in my Jeep Gladiator? I'd been listening to those flat-tuned playlists on the highway and thought, if I'm going to spend a weekend at the lake, I might as well enjoy some real bass while I'm out there. But then I started worrying, what if I buy a sub that needs a whole custom enclosure, or one that just takes up too much space under the seats? The last thing I wanted was to mess with my limited cargo room or end up with a sub that never hits the sweet spot. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. So I dug into the Stinger Jeep Gladiator JT Dual 8-inch 1000-watt loaded subwoofer enclosure. The thing is marketed as a plug-and-play solution that bolts right into your Gladiator's underseat area. That sounds perfect for someone like me who wants decent low-end without turning the truck into a rolling sound lab. I also skimmed a few forum threads where owners were talking about how much space they actually have under the rear seats, and most of them were saying the built-in area is about 45 inches tall. That's why the compact, vented claim caught my eye. If the box really fits without forcing you to cut anything, you preserve the vehicle's original storage capability. First off, the installation is as straightforward as the marketing suggests. The enclosure arrives pre-wired and includes two 8-inch subwoofer drivers already mounted. All you need is the power from your existing head unit or an amplifier that can feed the 1000W rating. The wiring harness plugs into the factory speaker connectors, and the box slides into the designated cavity. I didn't have to remove any trim pieces or poke holes in the floor. The fit was snug, almost as if the manufacturer designed it specifically for that exact model year. For anyone who isn't comfortable cutting metal or polishing fiberglass, that ease of installation is a genuine plus. Now, the sound. After I hooked it up to a modest 300-watt amp because I didn't want to overkill my budget, I cranked the volume on a mix of classic rock and some bass-heavy hip-hop tracks. The low frequencies were definitely more present. Where my earlier setup left a lot of thump missing, this sub gave the kind of rumble that you can feel in the seat. The ported design means the enclosure uses a vent to boost efficiency, so you get more boom per watt. In practice, that translated to a tighter, punchier bass that didn't just shake the whole cab but actually added depth to music and road noise. However, there are a couple of practical caveats that you need to keep in mind before you pull the plug. The first is power demand. While the sub is rated for 1000 watts, that's a peak rating, not a continuous draw. If you pair it with a small amp, you might hit clipping when you try to push the system hard, which can result in distortion or, worse, damage to the drivers over time. In my case, I noticed that at extreme volume settings on a low-frequency track, the amp started to whine and the bass lost its clarity. So if you're the type who likes to max out the system for a party in the driveway, you'll want a more robust amplifier that can comfortably handle the peak power. The second point is about the cabin space that the enclosure occupies. Even though the box fits under the rear seats, it reduces the vertical clearance by roughly an inch. For most users that's not a big deal, but if you regularly load tall gear, think a full set of camping chairs or a thick cooler, the space becomes a bit tighter. I had to rearrange a couple of items in the back to accommodate the sub, which is worth considering if your Jeep is already a packed workhorse. It's a minor trade-off, but one that could affect your day-to-day practicality. Who should buy this? If you're a Gladiator owner who loves music and wants a noticeable boost in bass without the hassle of a full custom installation, this is a solid match. It's especially useful for people who use the vehicle for weekend getaways, tailgate parties, or simply enjoy a richer soundtrack while driving through scenic routes. The plug-and-play nature also makes it appealing for first-time car audio enthusiasts who might be intimidated by more complex kits. Who should skip it? If you're a minimalist driver who values every cubic inch of cargo space, or if you already have an elaborate audio system with dedicated amp capacity, this sub might feel redundant. Also, if you're primarily concerned with crystal-clear highs or mid-range detail and don't care much about low-frequency impact, you probably won't notice a huge benefit. Finally, anyone planning to use the Jeep for heavy towing or off-road hauling where added weight could matter should consider that the sub adds a few pounds to the vehicle's total mass. Speaking of weight, the enclosure itself is fairly light, thanks to an element-resistant composite that the manufacturer highlights. In real life, the extra mass,